Hi everyone, my name's Michael Bennett and I'm a Society for Renaissance Studies postdoctoral fellow for the academic year 2020 to 21, based at the University of Sheffield. I'm an economic historian of early modern England and the English Empire in the 17th century. My research is concerned with the reciprocal relationship between the economy of early modern Britain and the Atlantic slave system. My PhD thesis, completed at the University of Sheffield in 2020, provided the first study of the London merchants who financed the development of sugar plantations and African slavery on the Caribbean island of Barbados during the 1640s and 1650s. While my postdoctoral project is concerned with exploring where the profits of the slave trade and plantation slavery were reinvested in Britain during the second half of the 17th century, with a particular focus on financial institutions such as the Bank of England. I applied for an SRS postdoctoral fellowship last April, in the midst of the first COVID-19 lockdown in the UK. Besides pure luck, one of the key reasons why I think my application was successful was that I really thought hard about how to demonstrate the feasibility of my project within the wider context of archival closures and the reality of the pressures on my time that I knew I would face as a result of this being just a one-year fellowship. For starters, the difficulties associated with archival access due to the pandemic was a big issue when I applied last year, and unfortunately, I suspect it's going to be a continuing problem for potential applicants this year too. To address this in my application, I deliberately designed a project that drew upon primary source material that I'd either already photographed from before the pandemic or that was readily available digitally through my university account. I also sought to demonstrate the feasibility of my project by being very clear in my project proposal about how much I was realistically going to be able to complete and achieve in the space of a 12-month postdoctoral fellowship. The fact of the matter is that almost as soon as you start the fellowship, you'll have to start applying for permanent jobs and postdocs in order to secure the next step in your career. And it goes without saying that this is a time-consuming process. There's only so much research and writing that you're going to be able to get done. And so suggesting that you'll be able to write an entire book during the space of an SRS fellowship is likely to be viewed with skepticism by the selection panel. In my opinion, far more appropriate would be to design a project that has a clear set of achievable objectives within the space of 12 months and that has a couple of peer-reviewed journal articles as the main outputs. Finally, I'd like to take a moment to encourage scholars of early modern European overseas expansion to consider applying for funding opportunities at the Society for Renaissance Studies. In recent years, the Society has adopted a more capacious definition of what constitutes the Renaissance to include the British Isles and mainland Europe, and the countries in contact with Europe and the British Isles during the Renaissance period broadly conceived. So if there's any fellow scholars of early modern European empires and European interactions with different peoples around the world, I'd really recommend you consider applying for the SRS postdoctoral fellowship.